I would have put on makeup, but this film's not worth it. Look, if you saw my out of the theater reaction last night, you'll know I'm not as hard on this film as a lot of other people do. I saw 2 people actually put comments in that video talking about how it's the third act was terrible and the script is god awful. And I will repeat what I said at the beginning of that short I did, that out of theater reaction I did. I am shocked that this film isn't as big a dumpster fire as I thought it would be. It's not amazing. I'd be even hard-pressed to say it's good. But I don't think it's god-awful by any stretch of the means. There are definitely things I can find that I enjoyed in it. There's a lot of things I can complain about. But does one outweigh the other? It's hard to say. Now, you can't talk about this film without talking about the history of this film. The long-ass freaking journey this film has gone through in order to be made. Because they've been, and I can't remember exactly how long it has been since they announced this movie exactly, but I do want to say it has been almost a decade since they announced this film. And it kept going through rewrites and directors and new casting for the Crow himself. And they just couldn't get this film off the ground, which is very odd because it's such a base premise that's kind of hard to screw up. So I'm not certain why it took as long as it did, but we finally got here. We have Bill Skarsgård and FKA. I'm not familiar with her. I think this is like one of her first acting roles. I think she's a musician. And so, did it ultimately work? Let me say, before I go into what everyone wants me to go into, all the stuff that didn't work, let's talk about things that work. Let's talk about the base story. If you've seen the original Crow, then you know the base story. These two are lovers. They are madly in love with each other. Then tragedy happens. They're both killed, but his spirit is so not at rest, so vengeful to avenge his fallen love that he comes back as basically kind of a revenant with some supernatural abilities added on, and he goes on a revenge spree. That is more or less the story here with some added elements. First and foremost, I like Bill Skarsgård as an actor. I liked this girl. I honestly liked this girl for what it's worth. The thing that needs to work in this movie is that you need to buy the relationship. Because if you don't care about the relationship, then none of this movie works. For what it's worth, it's not, A Star is Born. It's not, any sort of award-winning romance. It's not, Kate and Leo on the Titanic. Something like that. Granted, I'd probably buy this more than I bought Kate and Leo, but whatever. I'm not a big Titanic fan. So that's probably not the right analogy for me to use, at least on my part. But for what it's worth, I bought the relationship with these two. They meet in very unique circumstances. They're both in like a rehab institution, rehabilitation center. They're both very damaged, but because of that, they're able to bond with each other and form their love and connection. But they're both the kind of soft-spoken, so it kind of works well. They're both just trying to get on in life with each other, and then tragedy hits. So I did like when he's got to do the physical stuff. He can do the physical stuff fine. He's in good shape. I liked the movie, the relationship with them. Whether we had the relationship with them. Where I'll pivot to a negative is that, weirdly enough, once he comes back from the dead, while the movie still has fun, like the action stuff works and all that, I kind of start losing it once he comes back from the dead. Particularly once he comes back from the dead, once he comes back from the dead another time. Once he goes full Crow, I'm not gonna lie, it does kind of lose me from a character perspective. And his dialogue just goes Anakin Skywalker. It really does. Like, no joke, it sounded like Hayden Christensen for a little bit in certain scenes. It's not like amazing dialogue. The script, as a lot of people point out, not a very good script. But it's still, he was making it work for me up until he started going on his revenge spree. That's the weird thing here. It was working until we actually got The Crow, which, by the way, continue on with some negatives. This film is not even 2 hours long. It felt over 2 hours long. It is not well paced. They took a little too long to get to The Crow. Instead of, I mean, it's important that we get involved with these two as a couple, care about them, if you do or not. But I think they just spent way too long on that. Not to mention, they also had to introduce our villain, played by Danny Huston, who just, does the villain shtick in his sleep at this point. He farts out villain roles like, oh, I could do that. But let me get into a couple more positives before I actually start really reaming this movie a little bit. So, when there's action, the action is good. I also like the visual effect of him recovering. I kind of leaned over to my girlfriend and was like, he's like a less impressive Deadpool. You do see him healing, but for example, he gets like a giant gash and his intestines are sticking out. He won't heal until his intestines go back in, so he actually has to like that. But yeah, and then we actually see him having to like reset a bone at one point in his leg. And he says, like, I feel everything. I feel all of it. Like, my pain factor hasn't increased at all. Or my pain tolerance hasn't increased at all. So I like that. I like how they kind of actually showed the healing. Something they really didn't do much in the original. The action sequence, the best action sequence is the Opera House action sequence. That's when the movie kind of peaks there a little bit when it comes to like the tension and all that. And it is a bit of fun. It's kind of like if John Wick couldn't die, like legitimately couldn't die. And he's got a sword on him and all that. So that's kind of fun. Danny Huston is just one of those guys who is not really, even when he's not trying, he still is fine. They do something a little bit different with the villain in this film. The soundtrack's good. And I do like what they're trying to do with the mythos. They are trying to kind of expand it and change it up and maybe explore different avenues. But while some of it is interesting, I knew this film was going a different avenue when we met our villain, and it turns out, spoilers, not that I think many people care. I'm not going to go too much into spoilers, but it goes into, he made a deal with the devil, and therefore he could draw people's like desires, make them do terrible things, and so he can basically be immortal. Like, okay, this is the avenue we're going. We're going more comic book than original Crow here. So I already knew, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to change how I'm viewing this film. And because of that, I didn't judge it too harshly on some choices, but like the afterlife, the halfway station, which by the way, we never learned who that guy is, but we assume he's some sort of ferryman. He explains like when a person dies, a crow takes their soul, but sometimes a soul is something that happened that leaves the soul so uneasy or angry or whatever they cannot rest. Like, okay, fine, great, woo. But there's so many. But then they keep doing other things like, oh no, I got to make a new deal. Like, how do we know the rules of this world? That's the problem. That's the biggest issue, I think. One of the biggest issues, besides a bad script and all the essentials, is that there's no rules. You haven't made a set of rules for this world. And so you're just making shit up as you go along. And it really starts to hinder the viewing, particularly in the third act. Because apart from the Opera House fight sequence, that third act is a mess. Let's see. Out of 157, where would I think the third act starts? It starts, let's say, you see it in the trailer where he gets out of the bathtub. That's kind of where the third act happens. After that, it's like, he puts on the coat, he puts on makeup. It's like, I'm so emo and angsty. I got a sword, I got a katana, man. Actually, I think he had a wakizashi. But I got a blade, man. I'm going to kill people. I can't be killed. Where the original, let's admit it, both these are not the most in-depth movies ever. They're not the most in-depth concepts. The original still had more, weirdly enough, more style over substance. Because, the face mask with makeup was a lot more, vivid. He looks a lot more Chris Angel-y, and he's doing more, like, sucking the heroin out of a woman's veins and all that. There's more style in the original. This one is trying to have more substance while having just a very drab, unoriginal look or style. Here's the weirdest thing about the original Crow. And I know we shouldn't be comparing as much, but let's be honest, when a remake comes out, you're going to compare. Despite the fact it takes place almost exclusively at night, I still vividly remember fires and some colors and the stark white face of the Crow with the black on there. Here, I'm going to be honest, I started to forget shit the minute I got out of the theater. Like, I remembered having a good soundtrack, like liking the songs I was hearing because I had never heard them before. But the minute I got out, I'm like, I don't remember anything that was like the name of any song or what was in my head. Like, I could look up the soundtrack for this and be like, oh, cool. This is kind of like the Blues Brothers 2000 of The Crow, where movie's shit, but the soundtrack's good. But yeah, this was trying to go for more. It's trying to be more thought-provoking and like, what would you do for love? And giving you more of this existential stuff. It's just failing very badly at it. And then the third act happens, and again, apart from the opera house scene, which is legitimately a fun action scene, legitimately fun. If the rest of the movie had kind of been on that tone, we could have had a fun movie. But instead you get him confronting Danny Houston in his sleeping robe and them having a fight. Like, it's just weird. It's like, I get what I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei, and it smells like shit. And then it ends on such a cliche. Like, by the way, someone spoiled a little bit of the ending, but I don't, in the theater reaction, but I don't think anyone cares. Yeah, and I'm not going to spoil the ending because this isn't a spoiler review. But needless to say, it's very cliched how it ends. Like, oh, of course, that's how it happened. But then when we finally get there, I'm like, it goes back to the problem I said very early on about pacing. There is no frame of time in this movie. None whatsoever. Because we meet her, she gets purposefully caught by the cops as being killed. Then she's in there, then she meets them in the rehabilitation facility. We have no idea how long they're in there for. They get out, have their own life together for how long? We don't know. Days, weeks, months. We really don't know how long they've been together. And then they both get killed. He comes back. And I have to assume this has all been taking place over the course of literally a single night. I think. But the problem is there's no indication on that. Nothing whatsoever. We have no frame of reference of time, really, at all. So, not even all you had to do was have a line of dialogue. Even if it was exposition, it still would have given us some idea of how long it's been. There's a scene where you're playing the piano, she's singing, and she's like kind of having some trauma. It's like, hey, are you okay? Look, it's been. It's like, are you sure? It's been 7 weeks since it's been like 2 months since we left that place and we're able to do that. That's all you had to do. So to give me an idea of where we are. Because if it's only been like a couple days, which I don't think they kind of imply it's been at least a few weeks. Like, you're head over heels in love, trauma bonded for life. But yeah, I mean, without concept of time, we kind of have to go under that idea, go under that belief. And because of that, even though I do like the relationship between Bill and FKA, their characters, Eric and whatever, Eric and Shelby, I think that was their name. I do like them. It does make you go, well, how long have you actually known each other? So look, did I ultimately kind of like it? A little bit. I would say this is probably a guilty pleasure movie. Like, I didn't love it. I wouldn't go out of my way to just watch it again. I'm not going back to the theater, that's for certain. Like for a movie watch night or something like that, if we're double featuring this Crow and this, like at Mark's Place, we're watching the original and this one, sure, or put it on in the background or something like that. It's not the worst thing I've seen this year. It probably will make the top 10 worst, but probably on the lower side of it. Unless like the other top 10, like could I fill out the top 10 worst this year? That's a good question. I think I could have a list of top 10 worst right now. I know Night House would be on there. Imaginary probably would be on there, but on the low side, I probably would also put Mean Girls. I'd have to think on all the movies I've seen this year, because I've seen a decent amount. But yeah, ultimately this one probably would be making the top 10 worst. Low end of it, but the top 10 worst. Is it god awful? No. Do I recommend seeing it? Not really, if I'm going to be honest. Plus, Lionsgate did that very dumbass stunt of delaying their reviews until today, which is bull. Like that was a very shady thing you did. So I don't know. Regardless, if you've seen it, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Trailers. What did I get for trailers? That's a good question. Actually, I'm trying to think what I got for trailers. Did we get Beetlejuice? No, I don't think I don't think we got Gladiator either. Now I think about it, I know we got in there a little late. Me and my girlfriend. We had it was that was a movie she kind of wanted to see. Let's see here. Let's see. Nope, not Blink Twice. You Gotta Believe. Nope. Let's see. What did we? Gaza Transfer. Speak No Evil. We got that. We walked in on that trip. I'm looking forward to it. By the way, James McAvoy's gotten yoked. Holy crap, is he built? The Killer's Game. We definitely got that one. And Carrie, I think that was the first time my girlfriend actually saw that trailer, so she actually got a good kick out of it. I was like, want to go, babe? We'll go. Let's see. Let's see here. Anything? Oh, Joker. We got the Joker again. I'll be there. I saw the first one. After that, though, not much. Smile 2. I didn't see Smile 1. But, I mean, I'll probably be there. Let's see. A Red One. Gladiator, Wicked. Oh, yeah, that's right. We got Nosferatu. That's it. We got Nosferatu. Which, yeah, definitely will be at Nosferatu. My girlfriend didn't know that commercial preview was coming, or maybe she forgot the movie was coming. She's like, yes, we're totally seeing Nosferatu at Christmas. Like, Merry Christmas. But until then, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you guys for the next one.